The ancient myth of Medusa describes a terrifying physical impossibility, the instantaneous conversion of living flesh into solid stone. Ancient artists spent centuries attempting to visualize this state, a body frozen in a permanent, rigid posture while the mind remains active within. But petrification has a real-world biological counterpart. Fibrodysplasia Ossificans Progressiva, or FOP, is a lethal genetic anomaly where the body grows a second skeleton of extraskeletal bone. The skeleton of Harry Eastlack, who lived with FOP until the age of 39, is preserved at the Mutter Museum in Philadelphia. It shows a body almost entirely fused into a single continuous mass of heterotopic bone. For centuries, medicine lacked any explanation for this metamorphosis. Without an understood mechanism, doctors could only watch as their patients were slowly entombed by their own tissue. Historically, medical attempts to help FOP patients unknowingly accelerated the progression of the disease. When patients presented with severe leg swelling, doctors frequently misdiagnosed a flare-up as acute compartment syndrome. To relieve the pressure, surgeons performed fasciotomies, making deep incisions through the muscle and fascia. The biological response to the surgeon's scalpel was catastrophic. Instead of healing, the incision triggered explosive bone growth directly within the injured muscle. Any invasive attempt to fight the disease or relieve the patient's pain through surgery redirected the body's repair response toward creating more bone. The molecular cause remained hidden until April 2006, when Dr. Frederick Kaplan's team published a vital study in Nature Genetics that identified the specific mutation at the center of the disorder. The physiological hijacking is driven by a microscopic change, a single-point mutation in the ACVR1 gene, located within the ALK2 receptor's intercellular domain, shown here. This receptor normally functions as a biological switch, regulating the growth of bone and muscle during skeletal maturation. This mutation disables the receptor's ability to turn off. The result is a hyperactive protein that is constantly susceptible to misfiring. Identifying this genetic typo allowed researchers to see exactly how the body's internal development code was being redirected. The metamorphosis of FOP is triggered by everyday trauma, a bruised muscle, a fall, or even a common viral flu. This diagram shows the signaling path. When damaged, the immune system releases activin A to signal repair. But in FOP patients, the mutated ALK2 receptor misreads this healing protein. The signal is incorrectly interpreted as a command to build new bone. This leads to an agonizing progression. Inflammatory flare-ups transform muscles, tendons, and ligaments into heterotopic bone, physically locking joints and creating a second skeleton. The genetic error turns the body's repair mechanism into the very process that eliminates the patient's mobility. The disease eventually moves from the limbs to the axial skeleton, targeting the muscles and tissues surrounding the chest wall. As the ossification spreads, it forms ribbons and plates of bone that bridge vast anatomical planes, enveloping the normal skeleton as seen in these CT scans. This post-mortem specimen shows how the ribs literally fuse to the spine. This fusion prevents the chest from expanding, making it impossible for the patient to take a full breath. This leads to thoracic insufficiency syndrome. The lungs are restricted by a rigid cage of bone, causing chronic carbon dioxide buildup and right heart failure. This anatomical lockdown is the primary cause of mortality in FOP, which carries an estimated median survival age of 56 years. While FOP targets the connective tissues and muscles, it leaves the nervous system entirely untouched. The brain, heart, and lungs are not replaced by bone. The mind remains active and fully aware even as the body becomes an unmoving shell. Patients are eventually locked inside a prison made entirely from their own biological material. The myth of Medusa echoes this clinical reality, an ancient narrative for a genetic mutation that converts living, breathing human tissue into bone.